Suo Er est un écrivain chinois. Il est né en 1992. Il est originaire du sud-est de la Chine, plus exactement de la région de Guangdong, et il est basé à Guangzhou. Suo Er a étudié la littérature moderne mondiale à l'université de Wuhan. Il est l'auteur du roman La nuit de l'abattage, traduction française. Le livre n'est pas traduit lui-même, donc c'est pour vous donner une idée du titre, et du recueil de nouvelles Noncorrélation. Ses œuvres ont été publiées dans les plus grands magazines littéraires chinois et ont reçu de nombreux prix, dont le 43e prix littéraire de la jeunesse de Hong Kong et une nomination en 2021 au titre de Most Promising Newcomer of the Year, révélation la plus prometteuse de l'année, par le Southern Literature Festival. Il a également travaillé dans le domaine de l'édition, des médias et des expositions. Ses écrits traitent de la dispersion des cultures et de la vie des individus dans un cadre méridional. Et en Suisse, il travaille à l'écriture d'un livre de non-fiction, une sorte de travelogue, à la rencontre des différentes communautés de la diaspora chinoise dans notre pays et nos régions, un petit peu plus largement, aussi en France et aux alentours. Voilà.
Bonjour, good evening everyone. So like Sophie said last time, I'm so lucky to be here to give the third time's public reading, and I'm also very grateful to be here, to live here for 3 months, and now it almost come to an end, of course. And I really gained a lot by exploring this country and chatting with different people in different communities, and of course communicating with our lovely fellow writers. And so I also finished my revise of my newest novel, which will come out next year in January maybe. And I also decided to write a non-fiction about my experience in Switzerland. And of course, will be my first time to write a non-fiction. It's challenging, of course, but I think it's also a part of my life, right? And also, besides this, and also it could be very sufficient resources for my fiction writing in the next few years, of course, I believe. And so time is like a circle, and so today I'm going to read its extracts of my. One of my very earliest story, which title is called All the Wells Below the Surface, and which is also my first story being translated into English, and which is translated by Irene Chen, Chen Bo, and Bradford Philen. I'm going to start it in Chinese first. 大约20年前的夏天，我8岁，叔叔29岁，还没留起一脸的络腮胡子。我们俩在青岛的海滩上度假，就在那时候碰到了叔叔的旧交佩。佩当时正在海边烤着穿山甲，卖给那些在海边游玩的人们，50元一串。叔叔先把佩给认了出来。佩，他走上去打招呼：“你怎么会在这儿？”佩也认出了叔叔，亲热地拍了拍叔叔的肩膀。他们于是站到一块儿去聊天。佩边聊边做生意，他也给了我一串穿山甲肉。佩谈话时，食指弹烟蒂的动作使我印象深刻。然而他手上并没有烟。他们谈话忽而转到我身上去。佩问叔叔：“这个小孩是谁？”叔叔回答说：“我侄儿。”过了一会儿，他们的声音突然小了下去。我知道叔叔是不想让我听见，他以为那时候我对事实并不知晓。About 20 years ago, when I was 8 years old, my uncle was 29 and didn't yet have his full beard. We were on holiday in Qingdao by the sea. That's when I first met Pei, an old friend of my uncle's. He grilled pangolins by the sea for 50 yuan, a schooner for tourists at the beach. "Hey," my uncle said after recognizing him. "What are you doing here?" Pei saw it was my uncle and then, smiling, patted his shoulder. They stood together and talked while Pei kept an eye on the grill. He gave me some of the pangolin meat, and I noticed that he tapped an invisible cigarette with his finger, a movement that left an impression on me. "Who's that boy?" Pei asked my uncle. "My nephew." They lowered their voice, and I could tell they didn't want me to overhear their conversation. My uncle thought I didn't know what was happening. They talked until late, and my uncle helped Pei close his stand. By then it was dark. Pei had made some money selling the pangolin meat and suggested we go to a new Western restaurant. He said he needed to go back to his hotel, which was some distance from ours, to make a phone call. So we arranged to meet at the restaurant in an hour. Pei turned up half an hour late and with a lady whose age was impossible to tell. He introduced her as his girlfriend. She had scarlet fingernails and a fluffy curly hair, a popular style among Cantonese female celebrities. She and Pei smoked one cigarette after another. My uncle didn't smoke, but he drank with them. They hardly ate, but I ordered a club sandwich, a rib-eye steak, and some dish I'd forgotten the name of it. It was the first time I had had Western food, so I devoured it all. I had a good time. We had a good time. When Pei's girlfriend laughed, her mouth opened wide like a hippo's. At one point, there was a scuffle at the table next to ours and a glass shattered by our feet. This didn't affect our pleasant mood. Later in the night, Pei excused himself to make a phone call, and after an hour, we still didn't see him. His girlfriend went to check on him, and she didn't return either. My uncle started to worry, and he sent me to figure out what had happened. I couldn't find them. My uncle stared at a cluster of empty bottles on the table for some time and said we should wait a bit longer. Pei and his girlfriend never returned. The dinner cost my uncle half the budget we had for our trip at the summer. We loitered on the beach for 3 days after that. Pei never returned to sell the pangolin meat, and his hotel informed us he left the night of our dinner. We went home. My uncle was generally forgiving, but I could tell he was angry, though he never admitted it to me. I knew he wouldn't forget Pei living like he did. The memory of Pei never left me either. I was curious. My uncle's friends said Pei has studied Chinese literature along with them at the university. They said Pei was my uncle's best friend, but then he lost touch with everyone after graduation. They said he was eccentric, left-handed, a lone wolf who smoked all the time. He claimed others said they saw him walking security at a supermarket in Shenzhen. Still others claimed he had become suddenly rich through stocks and real estate. My uncle sneered at these stories. I saw him selling toad meat in Qingdao, he said, looking at me to confirm his tale. That wasn't the truth. It was clear my uncle remembered well what happened, but he twisted the story deliberately. My uncle was the kind of person who always looked older than his years, and his hair started to turn white before he even reached 40. He also started to forget things, but he always had a good memory for what was important. He never married, and it was partly because of me. He was a good cook. He had given up a lot for me. Fortunately, I was mature for my age, and I didn't cause him much trouble growing up. If you haven't been so good, I would have given you up for adoption, my uncle once said, half jokingly. I had become an orphan at 7. My father took antidepressants, But one day he went mad and strangled my mother with his bare hands. I was asleep in the next room. My neighbor called the police. She waited until my mom and dad were out of the house to wake me. She said my parents had urgent errands to run and then she would watch me for a few days. She was a kind woman, but there's a limit to everyone's generosity. I was sent to an orphanage a few days later. At the orphanage, I was as lonely as a blind horse until my only living relative turned up. I felt an attachment to my uncle at the moment I met him. He wore a green checkered shirt, a warm pair of runners and glasses, and his soft, short hair made him look gentle. I asked him his name and he told me he was my uncle. "What's an uncle?" I said. He explained. I thought uncle means a kind of clacker. He laughed and rubbed my head. "Do you like your uncle?" I looked at him but didn't respond. Holding my hand in his, he took me away from the orphanage. I thought his hand was the biggest hand in the world. After getting engaged, my soon-to-be wife urged me to move out of my uncle's place. She was into Channel and computers, the stock markets, shoppings, high heels, airplanes, and cities like Los Angeles, New York, and Tokyo, and London, and all the things those places represented. She liked chewing gum and drinking wine. She only smoked when she was depressed. She never thought of having children, not even in her dreams. She believed giving birth destroyed a woman's sanctity, which was to her quality more precious than virginity. My uncle and my wife disliked each other, which put me in a difficult position. After we married, I visited my uncle every week, but she never came along. "No time," she said. Whenever I was with my uncle and mentioned my wife, he seemed to stiffen. Once my uncle said to me, "I always had a bad feeling about her. Divorce her. You should marry someone more down to earth." "She won't have that," I said. "Or you won't, you wretch." I didn't dare reply. We kept drinking beer until we finished all the bottles in his refrigerator. Finally, my uncle said, "You shouldn't visit so often." "That wouldn't happen. He's my uncle. Don't worry about me anyway. I might get married soon myself." He didn't look like he was joking. "Is there someone?" He nodded. "Yes, next month. Our wedding will be next month." The night before my uncle's wedding, he received a card and gift money from Pei. There was a return addressed on the package. Incredulously, my uncle studied the card clearly written by Pei until he said, "How come Pei knows about my wedding? Looks like he hasn't forgotten you." My uncle smiled in disbelief. "He's forgotten everyone except for himself." He paused and added, "I have done the same." "Uncle, you must still see him as your friend. You never forgotten him." You're talking rubbish." "You can't fool me," I said then. My uncle gave me a look. "You have become bigger than me, stronger, and more knowledgeable. You feel superior now, too, huh?" Over the years, my uncle have taken on a melancholy tone, which slowly filled the gap that had started to grow between us. He disappeared that next morning. He took a train to the remote address on Pei's package, which was 6 provinces away. A week later, he returned looking tired and defeated. My uncle's fiancée burst into tears. She and her family thought my uncle had run away from the marriage. My uncle arranged the wedding plans to have a quaint, modest ceremony. excluding any friend he had known for less than 20 years. The night before the ceremony, my uncle and I drove for more than 200 miles out of the town. We stopped at a gas station and went to pee in the grass. My uncle stored and asked for a cigarette. I only had one left and lit it for him. He smoked it clumsily and tried to mimic the way my wife smoked. His gesture made me laugh, but then we fell silent until standing in the grass. He put out his cigarette. "Let's go," he said. "You are serious about all of this? I'm not Harry." "Harry? John Updike. Rabbits. I would not run." Thank you.